Well, howdy ho, Stampers. This is Deb Valder. Welcome back to my studio today. I always love having you stop by for some craftiness. And today we're going to do another in the series of no-line watercoloring. Well, each and every sample that I'm doing for you has a different technique, but it has to do with watercoloring and this no-line watercoloring. So today I'm going to do the watercoloring with ink. We're going to add some ink to it, and it's just a really cool little technique that you can just add a little bit of more detail to it. So let's get started. This is the very first card that I showed you how to do, just very basic. This one I showed you how to add some very good details to the no-line coloring, and today we're going to do the watercolor with no line coloring and like I said, the ink to go along with it. So let's get started. We're going to need our little palette, and we're going to need some water to go with that, and I always fill up all my wells because I like to have a clean brush in between. So we've got our water. Let's get out our inks. I'm using the Alt New watercolors and the Alt New metallics. So this is our inks that we're going to use for today. And I think instead of red, I think I'll just try a yellow card for you. So I'm going to get out the inks that I'm going to use, and let's see, I'm going to go with a couple yellows, maybe an orange for the flower, and then for my greens I'm going to use yellows, greens, and my dark green. All right, and each and every one of these has the name on them, and I have a little cheat sheet here for you if you would like to email me. I'll give you that little cheat sheet and we're good to go. All right, so let's get going. We're going to take, and we've got our colors. Let's get out our watercolor paper. And I always cut my paper 5.5 by 4 1/4, so that's a full true sheet of cardstock. And then after I'm all done, I cut it down. So let's grab the stamp. I've already pre-mounted it, and let's ink it up with, oh, the paper's already in there. Okay, so we're going to take our antique linen, and that is our distressed oxide inks. And if you've watched the other videos, this is number 3. If you watched the other videos, I explained to you I use distressed oxide ink because it's water soluble. It reacts with water, so it actually helps to blend the colors together. Now you can use any light color. It's just an outline of the stamp. So like I said, I'm using antique linen. They're all in our shop. Just use any color. You can use yellow because we're doing a yellow flower, and that'll start the yellows. But for tonight, I'm going to be using just the antique oxide. Now, before I did the antique oxide, I did stamp with my Wow ink. And people are always asking me, why do you do that? For 2 reasons. Number one, these clear stamps are very, very sticky, and this helps not to get them stuck to your paper. And also, it's easier to clean up. So I did that ahead of time. I call it conditioning it. And that's the only reason I use that. All right, so then with the light colored ink, even if you don't get a good cover on it, you don't have to worry about that because you're never going to see this. It's just kind of an outline that you're going to use. Now to clean this up, I'll take either baby wipes or any kind of wipe because it is water reactive. It'll clean up so easy. And I'm just going to clean up the stamp with this. All right, there we go. Now what we're going to do is to start coloring. So let's move this out of the way. And the first thing I'm going to do is to put down my paper right here, and I have to take and I have to, you've seen me do this in the other videos too. I always make a board, well not always, but I like to make a border around it. I just think it looks really, really pretty. So I'm going to hold that there like this, and what I did was I lined this up even with my grid marks, all right, because it makes the paper so much easier to line up. All right, so let's just grab, and I keep using these over and over and over again. So for this one, I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3. I said that the last time and I changed my mind, but this time I'm really going to do 1, 2, 3. So I'm just lining it up with the marks on the paper. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Let's do the bottom one. Same 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, and 3. That's why I like this little Make Art station, because I can take and I can do this, and then I can clean it up so easy after I'm all done. And it's tiny enough that I can transport it if I need to. It's got the magnetic ruler on it. It's got some more magnetics. These come off and you can put them wherever you want. I like to use them so that it's easy to pick up, but you can put them wherever you want. And then let's see, 1, 2, and 3 here. Alrighty. Okay, so now we've got our little piece outlined, okay? And what we're going to do now is to just take and put some color around the outside. So what I want to do is to wet my brush, make sure it's nice and clean. I always have a paper towel close by. I have a number 1, a number 4, and a number 6 brush that I use. For the background, I'm going to use the bigger brush because it's a bigger area. And that just makes a whole lot of sense. I'm just trying to get these in the picture for you. All right, so those are the colors that I'm using. Oops, I got to get something for the background. I love this Mountain Mist. It's just very, very like tealy kind of. I love that color. All right, so there's our picture. We're going to do yellow instead of red. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just wet my background. It doesn't matter if you get this little guy wet right here because it's all going to be watercolored in the end. Just scrubbing in some color to give it a saturation. Okay, we got that. Now let's wet this. And you can put as much as you want. You want to make sure you get it close to this edge so that we can kind of see the edge all the way around here. But like I said, it doesn't have to be perfectly bordered because it's a watercolor paper or paint. And a piece, I should say. It's a watercolor piece, and we're just going to make it very, I don't want to say abstract, but very watercolor-ish. I am not an expert watercolor. I just do this because I love the way it comes out. So you can just make the piece your own. That's what I love about this, is you're just making this piece your own. All right, and when it dries, you can actually take and even manipulate it even more if you want to have a little bit more color or less color. All right, so that's going to dry. And now let's start on our flower. So the flower is going to be, like I said, it's going to be yellow. So we're going to start with yellow. Because this is a larger piece right here, I'm going to start with, let's see if I can get your water in here so you can kind of see what I'm doing there too. All right, so I'm just cleaning the brush. And now I'm going to start with some yellow. All right, just as a base. Just kind of brushing it on just a little bit. It doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, we've got our base down there. Now I'm going to go in with a little bit darker and just let it kind of move itself. Okay, you can kind of manipulate your colors by just letting it roll a little bit. Okay, so far so good. So pretty. Okay, now I'm going to go in with a little bit of orange to darken this up here. Okay, we're going to let that dry. I'm going to go to a little bit more yellow here and just do the leaves, just kind of outline the leaves in my yellow. And the only thing that this inked image is doing is it's giving you a border so you can just paint however you want. All right, there's no, you don't have to stay inside the lines because there are no dark lines yet. And you're going to see how this, when we do the ink part of it, you're going to see how it's going to kind of define it just a little bit more. All right, so now we've got some yellow base to it. Let's take and move to the green. So I'm taking the lighter of the greens and just putting a little bit on, kind of feathering it out just a little bit, darker toward the stem and darker up here. Okay, just kind of putting a little bit of color on here. Okay. Now we're going to take the number 1 brush and do our little line. I'm going to go with the darker color. And just very lightly go right down the stem. Okay, now we're going to take the lighter color and just soften it just a little bit. And we're going to take the darker green, add a little bit of depth to it right here. Okay, so we've got some watercoloring done, and now what we're going to do is we're going to bring in our pen, and this is just a very fine tip pen that we have some in the shop. And what we're going to do is we're going to define the outlines. So you don't want to just go into the outline and just outline the whole thing. You just want to go here and there just to kind of pick up some of the outline. So what I mean by that is we're just going to take and kind of define just a few little pieces here and there. And what it does is it makes it more whimsical. It makes it just more defined, I guess. It's just fun. All right, so we're just gonna and I did the yellow so that you could actually see it a little bit more. And this one, it's hard to see only because it's darker, but it's just really very, very pretty. And what I'm kind of doing is just following the lines of the stamp. Okay. There we go. You don't want to overdo it. You just want to kind of outline. You want to make sure that your watercoloring is out past those lines just to make it look like it's watercoloring. And that's all there is to this. It is just so pretty. I just love the way this comes out. And like I said, you can do as much or as little as you want. You want to make sure that your piece is dry before you do it. Mine's still a little bit damp. Otherwise, you're going to be picking up some of the some of the ink, and you just don't want to do that. So just make sure it's nice and dry. You can hit it with a heat gun. It's absolutely beautiful. It's just very different. It's called watercolor and ink. So this is no line coloring. It is watercolor and ink, and it is just another technique in this series. Stay tuned because we've got some more coming. But let's take and finish it off. So I'm going to take these off. I'm going to save them for tomorrow. And like I said, I just keep reusing and reusing and reusing these. As long as they're still sticky on there, I am definitely going to use it. All right, so we've got that part of it. We're going to take and splatter it now. We're going to use our rose gold paper, which is the holographic paper. I know on our website you can't see how beautiful this is, but look at absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous paper. So I'm gonna kind of find the color that goes along with that one, and we do have a rose gold in here. And I'm going to use this one right here. So I'm going to take my number 6 brush. Let's put the top on our pen. All right, these are our 005 pens. They're in our shop. All right, I'm going to really, really, really douse this one right here with water. You can see it kind of fizz up. It's so pretty. And I'm just going to get a whole bunch on my brush and just tap it around. And that's why I like my little make art station here, because it's really picks up all of everything, and then all I have to do is just kind of wash it off with a paper towel, and it just dries really pretty. So I'm going to let that dry. I'm going to come back and I'm going to trim it down, and we're going to mount it after we do our words, and then we're done. So I'll be right back. So what I did was I cut off 1/4 inch all the way around. We're going to bring in our card base and our rose gold holographic paper. And I'm going to bring in my, bring this back in. I'm going to bring in my tape runner, and we're just going to run this down. Now, don't be stingy on your tape when you're putting your watercolor paper together, all right? Because this is a watercolor piece, and you just want to make sure that it lays flat. All right, so we've got that. We're going to add that to our card base. And then we're going to add this to it, all right? And like I said, do not be stingy with your tape runner. This is one time you really want to have a lot of tape on here so that it doesn't buckle on you. All right, I'm going to get a little bit closer to the end over here. And, oh, you know what we forgot to do? We forgot to put our words on here. Okay, so. Turn it upside down, and there we go. Look at how pretty that is. Oh my gosh, it is just absolutely gorgeous. Again, this is our series. We have more coming. This is the watercolor, or the no line coloring watercolor with ink. And we just added some detail. It's hard to see on this. That's why I did a yellow one. But it's hard to see on this one, just exactly the lines. But if you're close up, it really is absolutely beautiful. You can just see it a little bit better on this one. And it just is absolutely riveting. If you have any questions, you know how to get a hold of us. Remember to subscribe to our videos. Click on the little bell so that you get instant notification when we make a new one. And then hit the thumbs up button. I love to share this with you, but also share it with your friends if you want to. We have such a good time bringing this to you. You take care, have a great day, and thank you so much for stopping by.